I think we can resume now. Technical problems have been resolved. Philip, thank you. We have started. Our mandate, our planning, draft land use plan. Thank you for being, thank you, Philip. Thank you, Chair Philip Munnick, Resolupe. I had a question this morning. I had a question to NTI, so I'll ask the same question to QIA. It relates to Inuit-owned land. Who does the administration to these lands? And we have no idea how huge or small these lands are. Oil explorations, where they are on Inuit-owned land, and there's a resort across from us. It's at Cunningham, and it's not too far from Criswell Bay. And this resort operator across from us is looking to expand. And I like to know who is responsible for allocating that land where he sits. Thank you. Levi Barnabas, QIA. Inuit-owned land is our responsibility, QIA. We have different departments who look after these lands. We work with QIA clerks in each community. They receive letters, applications, they in turn pass on to us. And they know their community, their surrounding areas very well, so they are the first point of contact, and they determine what piece of land is in question and who the applicant is, and they give a suggestion as to approve or deny the applicant of the land use that they are requesting to use. Thank you. Just a comment. We have many works ahead of us, and I know your organization are very busy. We'd like to see you in our community and have face-to-face meeting with you. Are you able to answer that question, Levi Barnabas, QIA? The person who have a resort, we know who he is, and we have visited him at times. You have tourists coming in to to his place, and we are concerned that and to make sure that he's not on Inuit-owned land. And QIA will take into consideration to determine if we should be traveling to your community. Thank you. Here, Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll make a short statement. What was discussed regarding Te Rotio Imanga, Lancaster Sound? I will give a brief description. And with respect to oil exploration companies and ships becoming too numerous in the area, this was delegated to Parks Canada, and the site was marked in red. And this was used to further protect the areas north of Baffin Island as the current there moves towards Newfoundland. And so this was brought up to further discuss how to further protect the wildlife in the area. We had met with the Prime Minister, and we were planning the Te Rotio Imanga conservation area. And this included areas where the sea ice doesn't break up. This was geared for protecting the area and wildlife, and the four communities of Clyde River, Pond Inlet, Resolute Bay, and Arctic Bay were to be the monitors or guardians of the Lancaster Sound. That's what I can say. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Charlie, you have a question? Thank you, Mr. Chair. And I appreciate that you came here to hold meetings. Please feel free to feel entirely welcome to the community, although it's cold. The questions I have for QIA, they're not necessarily discussed, but I believe they need to be part of the discussion because they're under QIA's mandate. The Te Rotio Imanga Conservation Area is coming to fruition, and we had gone to Ikari to meet. I believe it was QIA who was holding the meeting. Their committee members explained that the Ottawa person from Parks Canada were there to talk about how they would enact this into law. And from then on, I've been talking about the matter. I won't necessarily explain all the details, but if there are items missing, I would wish the community members of Pond, the Hamlet, and HTO to voice their concerns. Yep, if somebody were to assign us something to deal with in a rush matter, QIA is our representative, and so if the communities are given information that QIA or others are working on, would be beneficial to the community to make sure the community members have time to absorb the information, and I wanted to express that. This matter will take a long time to deal with, and NPC had said NPC staff had said that once the conservation areas becomes a conservation area, NPC will have no mandate as to the conservation area. But I believe you need to add these items to how the conservation area is set up. So if we have your statements before the end of the conservation enactment thing, that would be great. Yeah, we do have parks here on Bight Island and on this part of Baffin Island. And in the Satut area is also Parks Canada territory, and we're situated in between the parks, and our waters will be included as a conservation area. I understand it's not been enacted yet, but after the federal government has enacted, then it will become a conservation area. So I want Inuit knowledge to be actually included in the planning process. Once it has become a conservation area, people will know that it's a conservation area, and they always want to come up. The cruise ships want to come up here. They're getting too much. We're not just saying there are too many ships. We actually know that there are too many ships. And even tourists are coming in on aircraft as soon as spring arrives. When you have a park, you have lots of people coming up to visit. And we had that huge cruise ship, Crystal something. I was the mayor at the time, Crystal Serenity. I was the mayor at the time. We were invited to the Crystal Serenity ship for dinner, and my wife and I attended. We needed a passport to get on board, I guess. I did have a passport, but the captain said, as long as you're a mayor, you don't need a passport to get aboard the ship. And my community members loved me so much as mayor, they all followed me like I was a rock star. And I've never experienced about how great a mayor I was until that time. And while the ship was there was a news report about the cruise ship Serenity. Yep. Lots of people want to come up here to visit the area, and I explained part of that. And I'll move on to another statement, Mr. Chair, still towards QIA. If they can't respond, it's okay. We can discuss it after. The statements they had made at the beginning of the meeting regarding Inuit benefits for impact agreements. And when Kiai were reading their statements, they were talking about impact benefits. And yesterday, Naaman read from the Nunavut land claim agreements that it says Inuit should be treated properly and for them to benefit. And some articles have explained that. So up to now, nobody's talking about businesses for Inuit. There are only a very few businesses, and perhaps somebody has a lot of money. You guys probably have a lot of money, but some of us are pretty poor. What have you done to plan for that? with respect to businesses or those who want to start up businesses and how you can support them. Have you any plans in place or any clarification on that? I do understand that Kakeva do support businesses. Mr. Chair, the question I'm really asking to QIA, it's been how many years? People have been asking whether we could sell lots of land. People had asked this before, and after maybe 20 years have passed, we will be asked this question again. Do you want to be able to sell lots? And if the majority votes yes, then I guess QIA would sell their lots. And up to now, Inuit, when they're not discussing businesses, I doubt the lots would be cheap. It seems like the Inuit would have their lands bought away from them. Have you taken that into consideration? Once we are able to buy lots, these are heavy matters to deal with. Have you taken that into consideration, Mr. Chair? Yep, that's also outside our mandate. We're not dealing with these matters. You can deal with these. You can talk to these guys after outside this venue. Sorry about that, Levi. You probably want to respond to that, but we're not discussing this. Sakasi has a question. I can respond. My name is Sakesa Karno from Arctic Bay, from the hamlet. Somebody had asked a question, and that was probably responded to, but I do have a statement I wish to make regarding the question. Somebody asked, is the protection of Lancaster Sound a benefit to anyone? So we were a subcommittee at Iqaluit. Naaman and Elijah touched on the subject. So Lancaster Sound was being planned for protection purposes. I believe QIA had that mandate. It's obvious that all these ships will want to travel to Alaska or from Alaska through Lancaster Sound, along with the exploration companies. It will be hazardous for oil exploration companies to travel through Lancaster Sound. And narwhal, walrus, harp seals, they have a place somewhere in Baffin Bay where they spend the winter. We don't get a lot of wildlife coming in from Alaska. Our wildlife travel through Lancaster Sound. It's it's a sensitive ecosystem. We have exploration companies who want to look for oil, gas there, and they want to do blasting in the oceans. So to protect from that, we have wanted to build a conservation area, and they have rangers or patrollers, and they're becoming more numerous. We have 2 boats here with QIA colors on them. And the patrollers do have a net, so they support the community by catching fish and so on. I expect that there will be IBA benefits from that sound. Thank you. Anybody want to respond? I don't want to respond. I'm sorry, Levi Barnabas, QIA. Please note that you will always be part of the planning process regarding Lancaster Sound. Without you guys, we won't be able to approve the project. we will keep you community members involved. We still have 2 years to deal with the matter. For that reason, our employees will come to your communities. It may not necessarily be as we do to have other duties to deal with, but but our staff will be talking to you for your input regarding the Lancaster Sound Conservation Area. And some of the things we are doing that you approved of or you had agreed to, we can show them to you. And we will have negotiations with you guys on the matters that we still have to deal with. We still have 2 years to deal with this, and I wanted to explain that. Thank you. Naaman? Thank you, Mr. Chair. Naaman Noah, HTO. The people who have been brought here to speak are questions. We've been asking the same questions for a long time, and we've been trying to take part in these processes, but there are many obstacles in our way. And you say these matters aren't your mandate, but because they weren't dealt with while we have the opportunity, we're asking questions about them. We want to take part in the processes. And you say it's not your mandate, but it's also your duty to deal with. You also have the authority to include others, to be able to plan with others for what we want. Thank you. Yep, I understand your statement. But I keep saying, some matters are outside of the Newer Planning Commission's mandate, and that seems pretty easy to understand. So, Kia, I understand that you have statements for QI and TI, but they're not. They're not our mandate, and for that reason, we need to turn to others. It's our mandate is our priority. As I said, during breaks and during coffee, you can talk to them anytime. Yeah, you can talk to these people from these organizations, but we're here to deal with the Newer Planning Commission duties and our mandate, and that's why we keep saying that. I understand what you're saying. I respect what you're saying. And it's understandable. You will make the statements you want to make, but we're not here for those statements. We're here for the Newer Planning Commission's mandate to deal with the Newer Planning Commission for all of Nunavut. And so for that reason, I try to talk to people who have questions regarding our processes. So if you have any questions regarding their presentation, go ahead. Thank you. Yes, thank you. Name it Nora HTO. Your statements when we take breaks during coffee, that we talk with the organizations. In the past, we've been doing that. When you have talks with them, it's not an official discussion. So because we, during informal conversations, our statements aren't used for anything. And that's why we're talking about them here. Laimiki had something to say? Thank you, Mr. Chair. Laimiki Padlok from Clyde River, from the Hamlet. As you stated, I'll probably be talking about something else. You feel free to ask their questions regarding their presentation. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This area in red on the map, it's a small parcel of land. And it's pretty small it only goes up to Nectar Silver. And even the place where we go to fish isn't shaded red. It's only the Netzelsil, the area that's shaded red. Now, I would want to expand this area, and we'll probably try and push for that. I just wanted to express that. It's not necessarily a question. I just wanted to explain that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Levi, you want to respond? Thank you, Mr. Chair. Levi Barnabas, QIA. Thank you, Lemike, for your question. You have a great question. You have the opportunity. If you want to make changes to this parcel of land, we can do that now. And you have until January 10 to try and change the borders of this value component. We don't want to shut down opportunities for a future that people may experience on these lands. For example, my grandfather lived a different life than I did, and my father lived a different life than I did. And I'm living a life different. My son will have a different life than me, and so on. Our lifestyles change as we progress into the future. We need to take these into consideration when we're planning for the future to make sure we don't shut down opportunities for people. And we need to take that into consideration. Thank you. Go ahead, Lemike. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Lemike Padlock, Clyde River Hamlet. What I think is if we go too close to the area the community members of Pond Inlet have marked down, I think that could be dangerous, hazardous. I believe that if we extended the boundaries, it would be good. I may go past where the community members of Pond Inlet had staked out for their valued component lots. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sharon Halawak, Executive Director for the Planning Commission. So to Lemike and Naaman and others who have raised their issues, and like Levi stated, the opportunity to have your input, whether it's too close to a boundary or where it is, the whole point of you coming together is to tell the Commission what you want. So there's no right or wrong opinion. Everybody's opinion is important. So if that is something that you think is important to have a change on the boundary, then we recommend that you tell us what it is you want. When you hear these presentations, if you support these presentations, if you give that commission the guidance to the Commission, or whether you don't support it, whether you want protection of the caribou in the plan, whether you want it, as they recommend, to be separate under IOL. I'm just giving examples, but to focus so everyone understands, when the Chair keeps saying that we're here for the Planning Commission, we're here to hear your opinions and to give us guidance, give commissioners guidance for direction of what it is you want in the land use plan. We've heard a lot about shipping. John in his presentation went through the plan, what the plan proposes, and the more guidance on those topics that you can give us, that gives the Commission direction. So yes, the boundary change, if you think that that's appropriate, regardless of what area it is, you have the right to provide that to us and to tell all organizations that are presenting to ask them questions based on their perspectives. And at the end of the day, we need to have a land use plan in place. And the only way that we are going to move forward is that we listen to each other, we hear what each other is saying, and we look at opportunities and solutions. And we can see that community members are saying what they want, and we see that presentations are different. How do we find the solution? It's really important for each community member and for the organizations that going forward we find some, whether it's compromises or what you can agree on, what you can't agree on, for the Commission to be able to make those final decisions. And in the absence of getting those directions, Commissioners must make decisions on the evidence and the submissions that they have in front of them. So I hope that helps. A little bit long-winded, but to get us back on track, well, thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your comments. They're all important.
Thank you. Charlie has a question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. You moved on before I was done questioning. On the other side, past Navy Board Inlet, where we have the other flowage, that's a park over there. The crews, the tourists, some of them are very rich, and that area has caribou. It's full of diverse wildlife, polar bear and such. And there are lots of narwhal over there. And last year, this tourist company wanted to stay over there. They didn't want us going over there. It's a park too. Yeah, all these people want to go over. All these tourists want to go over there. They have helicopters. They have ships. They go into the area, and helicopters. They go everywhere. They have all these skidoos. Can we shade the parks area red too? And Kila probably knows more about the situation. Go ahead, Sharon. We'll respond.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sharon Halawak, Executive Director with the Planning Commission. If I'm understanding the question correct, are you asking for the parks to be changed in its designation? Is that?
Yep. The Navy Board Inlet area, they also go there to hunt caribou. Yep, that one. There's a part where caribou go, and community members go there to hunt caribou along with Arctic Bay people. We don't want too many helicopters in that area, and we don't want too many aircraft in that area. The tourists There's a tourist company that comes around here. They go diving at the flowage, and they have helicopters flying at low levels so the tourists can see everything. So my question is, can we shade that area red so that to keep the tourists away? Parks Canada isn't doing anything about them. I understand that it's Parks Canada's territory, but can we shade it as red? Thank you. Brian can respond. Go ahead, Brian. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll try and be clear. Yep, you're talking about this now, and you're recorded, and you're filmed, so your concern will be taken into consideration by NPC. And your statement, it seems like it has been settled before, but if you wanted to add, if you want to add more land to the value component area, you would have to work for it, and then you could pass on the map before January 10. And NPC would take that into consideration. And we're still open for statements and recommendations. So if you had wanted to deal with that land in some way, our commission wants to hear about these. I hope I answered your question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Thank you. Go ahead, Charlie. Another short statement. Our flow edge, we have two flow edges, and we call the other one the other side. And the button point area, we just call it the flow edge. And we get tourists, okay, we don't mind them. But when they start using helicopters and other means of transport, the HDO has said before that these tourist companies need to hire Inuit to go where they want to go, and we said we wouldn't accept their visits if they didn't hire Inuit. But they go way past where they're allowed to go. The tourists are going nuts. And the tourist companies, they're probably thinking that we'll show them what they want to see and we'll make good money off of it. So I'm wondering if you can deal with the matter somehow by dealing with the flowage. That's it for me. Thank you. Thank you. Do you want to respond, Levi? Thank you, Mr. Chair, Levi Barnabas, QIA. We had said earlier that the Lancaster Sound Conservation Area will still be working on it for 2 years, and you can add that component to this matter. If you HTOs have concerns about how the flowage being disturbed, you have the authority to write to us requesting support, and we will be able to support you as we're working on the conservation area for Lancaster Sound. I had seen that part shaded, the part you were talking, the lands you were talking about, and that's Toxukatik Sound. I had heard before that was Toxukatik. Yep, I had seen that area marked in red. It's probably somewhere in our files, and we can look at that to see exactly how that situation stands, and we will be able to get back to you with a response. But please understand, you have no obstacles in the way if you want to make changes to that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Go ahead, Charlie. Thank you, Mr. Chair. This area we call the other side, the Navy Board Inlet side. When the elders met the community members, we were discussing mining, and we call that area the other side channel, and ships were not allowed to travel through there as there was too much wildlife in the area, and this was the feeling of the elders of the community. So I want further clarification on what else we can do. The community members, I believe, are protective of the other side because it does have lots of narwhal, and because of all the cruise ships. Can we have more authority? Can we do something? I understand we'll be meeting with the Nauru Planning Commission to discuss maps. That area is a very valued component, and Hamlet representative said that this was a valued component, and this needs to be a part of the value component. And so I'm just reiterating that. Can we add to that? Can we add to the borders before January 10? Thank you. Thank you. Respond. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Levi Barnabas, QIA. Absolutely. You still have the opportunity. You have the opportunity to deal with that. Yeah, I was amazed about this. I had heard about a ship that traveled through there, but didn't understand who authorized that ship to pass through there. And when there are ships, it's usually the HTO's responsibility to approve or disapprove ships traveling through there. I'm thinking that ship had been approved to travel through there, so they were able to go through there. Yeah, we will have to look at the situation. The HTO needs to be used more for monitoring the environment and such. And I too, when I was an HTO member in Arctic Bay, I too had noticed that a person had caught way more than fish than they had applied for. So I've written to the economic development regarding the tourists. And the tourists need to be approved by the HTOs to come into our lands, and they need to respect the boundaries too. Thank you. Thank you. Lemike has a statement, and please try and make it short. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Lemike Padlock from Clyde River Hamlet. I will add to his statement earlier. Back in the 1900s, there used to be a lot of caribou. And in the past, when people lived at Nettelsuyo, when someone had an outpost camp there were no caribou. But after that land was left behind, all the caribou moved into the area, and they all moved into the Nettelsuyo Point. And we even saw caribou tracks on the sea ice going down to the icebergs. It's not like that anymore today, but we had heard that caribou returned to their old stomping grounds. This applies not just to us, but it also applies to our descendants. And so for that reason, I want to expand the value component boundaries for that. Thank you. Levi, you can respond. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Levi Barnabas. Yep, it's entirely up to you if you want to expand the boundaries. As Brian said, you have the opportunity now, and all you have to do is mark the boundaries. And if your council agrees to that, then you can go ahead and submit your idea before January 10th. As long as your council agrees to all this and understands this, then you can go ahead and do it. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Are you done, Laimiki? Again? Okay, go ahead. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'll have one more. Laimiki Padlo from the Hamlet. Unfortunately, we don't have a map at this time, and this little thing is too small to write on. Perhaps when we're at our community, we can deal with the matter. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yep, thank you. And I'll remind you all that as we were told, we still have until January 10 to work on these matters. Larry.
Larry Auluruk umayornatiko
HTO
Katimayingat Greece Fjord
Regarding Lancaster Sound, Levi and QI, I want you to know that we all know the whole world is watching us very closely, and the world even knows who's passing through Lancaster Sound. They're waiting for Lancaster Sound to melt so they can travel east-west through Lancaster Sound. For instance, China. And the world's still holding on to the idea, and they found the Franklin ships, and they were looking for the Northwest Passage when they got lost. So when Lancaster Sound starts and ships travel through there, tourist companies plan for a long time. For example, Chinese, the Orient people, they plan to go through Lancaster Sound. Once they start traveling through there, we'll have no authority to stop them. And so we need to request more assistance for that protection. And lots of countries are saying this is not Canadian waters, but international waters. They're even saying that. And I wanted to express that. You're dealing with a huge mandate, and so we need to make sure we know QIA's mandates so we will be able to support them in their endeavors. I'm saying once Lancaster Sound is opened up for international travel, we will not be able to stop them. And we heard recently that Russia, the Northeast Passage, has been shut down at this time. And all we have now is Lancaster Sound. And for those reasons, let's be united on this matter and start to benefit from it. You try and question the federal government about how they stand on Lancaster Sound, but they won't respond. This happened after I had talked with the Prime Minister. He told me, don't worry about Canadian waters, we'll deal with it. And they didn't talk about any plans or whatever, so I didn't really believe him. And I believe we will have no authority, no power once it becomes an international routeway. Thank you. Thank you. That was more a statement than a question. I don't have any more names from staff. Thank you, Mr. Chair. World Wildlife Fund. I am here. Looking at this document, there are no page numbers. It says that caribou calving areas and post-calving areas want them protected by NPC, and it says that Inuit lands not be used for these purposes. I used to be a negotiator when we were choosing our lands, our protected areas, the caribou. We tried to go for the lands the caribou inhabit so we could protect them. And then looking at this report, the caribou areas won't be protected. The lands that we had wanted protected. We did our work for nothing. It was a waste of time. This statement. So KIA is going to continue on this. Can they pick other lots like mountaintops so we can protect the lands where the caribou inhabit? That's my first question. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Go ahead and respond. Thank you, Mr. Chair. And Paul, thank you for the question. The Inuit owned lands, they won't all be designated the same way. And QIA in the past had visit communities for consultation. They asked, how will we use these Inuit-owned lands? And later on, and then later on, I'll go back to the 1970s. The Inuit-owned lands were considered to be in different ways. People want to use them for spending the night or camping. And as we said, they are lands that caribou inhabit. But with some of these lands, we can deal with them through agreements. Not all lands are included, but we are requesting from NPC that we don't want to be closed out of these Inuit-owned lands. We will probably have some lands designated for where caribou inhabit. For example, the committee members who are here in the high Arctic, if they were to say, this is our land, yeah, let's protect it because of the caribou, they can do that. But if they do say, yeah, we can mine in this area, in this land, on our land, so let's make an agreement so we can make money from it. It will be up to the communities to... It will be up to the communities to decide how those lands will be used. But we're trying to say we don't want NPC to shut down opportunities for Inuit-owned lands. And for example, like the land near Clyde River, it will be part of Parks Canada's lands, and some of it is Inuit-owned land. And so we will need to plan for an ILBA agreement for Inuit impacts. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Do you have any other question? Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. Paul Carter, World Wildlife Fund. Yeah, it's good to hear his answer. We have been told that we have before January to work on these maps. And so can KIA have these maps ready before the end of before January? Because these lands are important for caribou. And thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay, go ahead and respond. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Solomon Yabakiwa, I have forgot to mention my name. And thank you, Paul, for the good question. We wrote this down in our in our presentation, we talked about how the caribou need to be protected. We also talked about how some communities we had met with them for consultation into where caribou occupy lands. We will say to NPC this: what you have written down with respect to the lands you have allocated as important, they are not enough. As some lands are missing from your maps, and so we will be able to fill in those. We will be writing to NPC to say this is what we heard from the communities regarding caribou birthing areas, crossing areas, and post-calving areas. All these sites we want to make sure we write them down and inform NPC of them. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions from the registered participants? I don't see any hands, but from the public, have a question.
Do you have a question for KI? Go ahead and ask. Thank you. I have a question for QIA and I have a question for the hamlet of Pond Inlet. When QIA are planning something, why don't they meet with the community members of Pond Inlet? For example, regarding Mary River and Mary River, they just go ahead and do whatever they want, plan whatever they want. They don't make any statements to the community of Pond Inlet. And the hamlet mayor, he's supposed to represent the community, but he never says anything. And he's a member of the Newark Planning Commission. He never said anything about this process for so many years. And we've been dealing with Baffinland for a long time now. Is he the mayor or is he NPC? Thank you. That's not within our mandate. We're not here to cast blame or make these statements. It's understandable that you had a question for QIA and for the hamlet of Pond Inlet, but your question falls outside of our mandate. I apologize. I'll change something else. We've been waiting for so many years. I've been trying to get a job at Mary River. I don't think I'll ever get a job with Mary River. So I want to buy Mary River myself and sell iron ore to southerners, to the rich people, and all the community. I will support the hamlet. I doubt Baffinland will help support us. And our mayor is supporting the community. I don't think he'll ever support the community. I want to buy Baffinland with support from QI and TI and the hamlet organization. I want support from this. I need this. I want to work at Mary River. If I can't get a job, I want to buy Mary River. Baffinland. I'll have the most. Okay, I'm going to stop now. Yeah, I'm sorry. This is not our mandate. You need to use other venues outside of our meeting. Thank you. If you don't have any questions regarding QIA's report presentation, that's pretty much it. And we had a hand up. Sakisi, do you have your hand up? Do you have a question for QIA? Yep, I am Sakasi from Arctic Bay Hamlet Organization. I have a statement question for QIA. Parks Canada has lands over there, and part of our hunting area down to the beach, down to the flowage area. We call that area Nuvu. And when people are casted up on ice pans, they make land at that point there. There used to be a cabin there, but that cabin had to be removed. And we talked with the Parks Canada people, telling them we need to have a cabin there. Person wanted to make a cabin there, but they haven't started working on it. And so we need to have boats ready, but the land is owned by Parks Canada. Can QI do something about the shore of that point? That's my question. Thank you. Yep, that's also outside our mandate jurisdiction. I don't have any more names. During breaks, we can talk with the people from other organizations. Okay, I don't have any more names here. A round of applause for QIA. We will take a break. And next will be the federal government. And we will be back at 6.